Thank you.
You're buying a house. That's so awesome. Well, so for everybody who's on here, tonight is what we call a power hour. So really this is a non-traditional team call in the sense that we really just hop on and kind of just talk through like things that we're doing in our business. And we kind of just are working on our business as we're kind of talking. So especially for new coaches, this is super helpful because we can kind of talk through questions you have, or like, hey, when I'm sitting down to do my quote unquote power hour, if you're like me, power pockets in the business, or like those daily business building activities, you know, what are questions that come up, or, hey, Caroline, how do you do this? Or what's that? So it's really just a chance for us to all kind of be working together, like we're at Starbucks or something, but just able to then ask questions as we're going. So it's really, can look however you guys want to. If anybody has any specific questions that y'all want to talk about first, let's get to those. And then that way, like I said, I'm probably going to have to hop off a little bit early just because Amy wouldn't go down. I think it's because it's still light outside or something, and Brian got home late, so she's thrown off. But let's go into any questions you guys have first, and then we can kind of go from there.
For me, I'm struggling with like when people just like my picture. Like, do I send them a message, or because there for a while I was kind of just going to their page and then liking their stuff. And then today I reached out to a couple and I just kind of was like, hey, thanks for liking my post. Like, I hope it encouraged you, whatever. And a lot of people didn't respond, but I did have a couple who responded. I'm still uncomfortable with just randomly reaching out. Like the stories, I'll write somebody down, and then if I see like the next day that they continue to follow that, if they watched it all the way through, then I'll message them.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as just like liking my picture, do you all message them, or do you just kind of go and interact on something on theirs?
I really try to and Courtney, actually, do you want to speak to this of what you've been doing? I think that'd be probably better.
Yeah.
You haven't been on in as long as I have, so I feel like I'm like an OG when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it just depends. Like I was like internally conflicted and convicted about this this weekend, even just thinking about any time I've ever followed up from whatever it is, a story, a post, whatever. I usually have a really good conversation, and my Success Club points tend to come from those conversations. Like hitting it this weekend, and I was traveling just because I could text people, you know, on the go, which I'll be straight up, Caroline and I talked about this, like I don't get tons of invites every day, but it's when I do sit down and send a bunch of those messages that those couple of conversations, usually out of that, you'll find a couple of people who really are interested. So all that to say, I think just make it sound, you know, you can just say, hey, thank you so much for liking my post today. Like that means so much to me. You know, that sometimes it's really hard to be vulnerable, but you guys liking and supporting really does mean the whole world. Like, thank you so much. And I'll leave it at that. And then they respond, and then you respond. So you don't have to feel pressure to get it all out in one, because think about it. If you just say thank you, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're so welcome. And then you can say something else. Or a lot of times they'll say more than just you're welcome. And if they just say you're welcome, sometimes you just leave it at that. But a
lot of the ones who responded, like they actually said stuff, or I asked like, what are some things that you would like to see more or something on some of them. And a lot of people like gave me suggestions, and some people would just like my message, but
yeah. And that happens. I feel like it's just, you always have this. And the thing is I always have to remind myself is like, some people are honestly like reading these, like when they're driving, or, which is terrible, but you know, people do. So I feel like sometimes I have to kind of like just remember that people might be busy and they just don't have time to like respond back. You know what I mean? So they'll just like something. But I'm with Courtney. Like I went through a phase earlier this year where I was sending lots of invitations, and I was writing people's name down, and I was like doing all this stuff, and I was sending a certain amount of invites every day. But like, to be honest with you, that's not how I grew my business. And I don't honestly have time to be sending 50 invitations a day and writing every person's name down because I was doing the notebook method. And I'm not bashing that because it definitely 100% works. Like it does. But I'm just more like, I just want to be sharing. I want to be helping people get results. I want to be sharing my journey. I want to be connecting with people. I don't want for people to feel like I'm connecting with them because I'm trying to sell something. So for me, I'm very much like Courtney. Like I try to just have a lot of conversations all the time going. And like there's a couple ways you can do that. I ask lots of questions on Instagram stories, or I'll say little things like today, for instance, I was like, is anyone else an Enneagram 3? You know, and then it's like you get random people who are like, me too, me too. And then you can just have this random conversation about being an Enneagram 3. And then for whatever reason, like I feel like naturally sometimes people are like, so what exactly do you do? Or like, how's life? And then I'm like, oh, it's good. Like coaching's great. And then like they ask, what exactly do you do as a coach? You know, like it kind of naturally comes up when you're conversating with them. And then, you know, I'll typically like when I feel like the conversation is like coming to a close, I'll typically say, you know, it was so good talking to you. I'm so glad that life is good. Like, please let me know if you ever need anything. Like, that's what I'm here for. So that way it's like, you know what I mean? Like less salesy feeling, but they also know that because here's the deal. Even if somebody doesn't want to join me in a challenge group, I still want them to follow Fit for His Glory and get great, amazing content and have value be added to their life, right? Because we're here to serve people and that's what it's about. And I really believe that if we do those things well, if we are helping the people get results, if we're, you know, doing what we need to do, if we are making the invites when they need to be asked, then it's going to come back around, you know? Like
you just kind of have conversation, and then when it feels right to do the invite, that's kind of when you slide it in.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And if you just keep talking, like Erin and I were talking about this, one thing that I've learned from talking to a lot of people, like even in ministry, like just as you're talking through stuff, ending with a question makes people a lot more likely to respond back to you. If you ask, like my initial text I send out, I say, where are you from? Or something like that. Then they respond and you say, oh, cool. Like, well, what do you do? And then you just ask about what they do. And then don't even like you let them ask what you do. Because I think people get burned out when they think, oh, they're just asking me about my whatever so they can tell me. But a lot of times I just won't even, if they stop answering, I'm just cool with it. And then that's played off later when they finally come back and they're like, okay, what do you do? And then they respect that I didn't necessarily jump in there from the get-go, which sometimes it does work. Like I also send straight up invites sometimes too. So you kind of feel it out basically.
Yeah. And I think too, like praying over, like before you even start your power hour, just like, Lord, give me the eyes to see the people. Like give me the words to say, like, who am I supposed to be talking to? Like, you bring the people and help me to slow down and see them. Because sometimes we get so busy that we may have someone right in front of us that we're not even thinking about, you know? So I think just also really focusing on that as well is really important. But having those conversations will be what grows your network. Because the thing about coaching that I have learned over and over and over again is that while you're sending these invites and you're talking to these people and you're helping these people get results over here, you've kind of got this wheel turning, but you've also got to get this wheel turning where you're adding to your network and you're having new conversations. Because what happens is like this business tends to have a 2-month like delay, or some people even say 3 to 4 month delay, in that the conversations you're having today may not mean that they buy a challenge pack tomorrow, you know? And that's why you have to never bank on someone. You know, you can never be like, oh, they're going to do it. They said they're going to do it. Because they may be somebody who in 3 or 4 months or even a year comes back around. And so that's why it's important to constantly you've got these conversations going, but you're also constantly adding new people to your network. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I use like things like Captivate, which I heard that they blocked Captivate. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. We may have to just go back to old fashioned adding some people on Instagram. But that's why it's important that you're constantly adding new people and finding ways to kind of like get in front of other people. In terms of just getting more people's eyes on you, you know? So those things definitely help. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, my phone is currently blowing up because my family has a family text going about Easter. And all I saw was my brother said, Jesus was risen on the third day, not the second. We need to go to church on Sunday.
Oh, y'all are deciding which service to go to?
Yeah, because there's like Saturday night and Sunday. And
I'll literally be there the whole time. So Thursday, I'm taking pictures for everybody.
Oh, fancy.
I got this. I do this all the time.
I am really sad. This has nothing to do with our power hour, but I just have to say this. My great-grandmother's church, who, like, when my grandmother grew up and everything, they've had an egg hunt for, like, I mean, I'm talking, like, years, right? For some reason, they didn't tell anybody, but they're not having an egg hunt this year. I'm not kidding. This is probably the first time in 50 years they haven't had the egg hunt. They decided it's too much work. I'm like, how much work is it to hide eggs? Like what? And honestly, our family, like our side of the family, we made up like a third of the egg hunt anyway. So we're just going to have our own, I guess. But I'm just really sad about it. It's like a tradition.
That is sad.
Did anybody have any other questions?
Where did you hear this whole thing about Captivate being blocked? Because I was using it today and it was working.
Oh, it's working for you? Then keep on. I don't know. Someone was telling me. I'm wondering if it's STEM Social. So apparently Instagram put in some new like security something where they can see those kind of things, those like robot follower things. I don't really know, but I saw it on the in this like new leader whatever group that I'm in. People were saying like screenshots of what it was telling them on Instagram. So I have no idea. So it may not be.
Instagram saying like they got a notification of something.
Yeah, I can show it to y'all. Let me pull it up here. There we go. Sorry, my computer is deciding to go really slow. Let me pull it up. Wait, that actually wasn't it. Okay, so this is what they got. It was like, I don't know if you can see this. This is what, well, it's too much of a glare. Man, let's see. Can you see that? It says Captivate Cloud Service is no longer available. Dear users, Instagram installed new artificial intelligence filters to detect automated activity. We are aware that Instagram is showing warning messages about third-party apps inside their official app. They published a post this blog. Oh, I guess STEM Social sent this in an email out to people, maybe. Or maybe it like popped up, on people's STEM Social. It says as of April 13th, cloud service for Captivate is no longer available. So I don't know what that means. It says Captivate on there.
So I think you had to pay extra for like the cloud service. I don't know. I never used the cloud.
Oh, I've never even heard of the cloud service, to be honest. So I guess that's what it is that they're talking about. It's not working for people anymore because it's like detecting it or something. But I've never used it. So
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but maybe it was adding people like by itself. Like maybe if you put people into that cloud, it would just kind of work on its own.
Probably so. You're probably right. Kind of like Sim Social.
You
Yeah.
did have to pay. It was like I think $4.99, and it adds them to like a queue because it only lets you follow so many at a time. And so once you add it to your queue, then it starts like automatically following
Mm.
Oh, that's
all of
That
interesting.
those. Because I was the dummy who paid for it, and then it like never did anything.
No, $4 actually that would be worth it.
Yeah, totally.
I think. I just didn't even know it did that. So you're actually smarter than us.
Well, it wouldn't let me do anything until I paid. It said that I had used all of my free activity or something.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh, that's weird.
But I was
'Cause
doing it today and it was working. I just wouldn't add them to that queue.
yeah.
I would just follow like 20 at a time.
Well, I'm doing it right now because I wanted to see. But I put mine into the pending queue under local actions. I never do anything in the cloud. So maybe that's why I never experienced anything like that.
Oh, wait, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about then.
Because I do 50 at a time, but it's free, whatever it is I do.
Mine wasn't.
So yours must be the cloud. I don't know. Mine will let me do like 50 at a time, and then it'll hit a limit, and then it won't let me do any more than that.
Yeah, same here. Usually, if I exceed it, I just add the people into my local queue, not the cloud queue, but the
Yeah.
local queue. Then later on, I'll just add them.
I do the same thing. I do the local queue. What are you laughing about, Jasmine, over there? What else? Anybody think of anything that they wanted to go over tonight?
Hi.
Hi, Leslie. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
I didn't want to call you out straight up because I didn't want to embarrass you, but I was like, oh, we have a newbie on.
It's okay. I was wondering if anyone else is having trouble with the My Challenge app, with the tracker app. Because when I open it, it'll stay open for like 2 or 3 seconds and then it'll just shut down. I've tried like resetting it, deleting it, and re-downloading it, but I'm still having issues. This morning I was able to log in my workout and it was working perfectly fine, and then I found a cute picture I wanted to like share with the group, and then I couldn't do it. It was just shutting down all over again.
Are you running the challenge group, or just trying to post in there?
Yeah.
What kind of, do you have an iPhone or like an Android or?
Yeah, iPhone.
That's weird. I've never had issues with the challenge tracker app. Anybody else? I know that I've seen people say that they're having issues with it though. You're not the only one. Not on our team, but I saw some people in one of the groups on Facebook say that they were.
My girls have been having trouble, they said.
It's just weird because I've never had an issue. Have any of y'all had an issue with it?
I mean, I haven't ran anything in there, but just me posting in the
Yeah.
challenge that I'm in, I haven't had any.
Do you think it has to do with the series of iPhone that you have? Like maybe if it's not like 7 Plus or 8.
Mine's old.
Yeah, mine's a 10, and it's been.
Brian, what kind of iPhone do I have? I don't even know, y'all. Brian, it's an 8? I think mine's like an 8. It's old.
Yeah, and I tried like deleting. Mine happened like back in March, I think, or February. Mine crashed for a little bit, and then it got better. So I don't know.
Maybe it's just a bug on their end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. That's really annoying though.
Yeah.
If you do become an admin now that you're a coach, you can, if she'll make you an admin, then you can go on from the mychallengetrackerapp.com and you can get on it there and post in there from that. But you'd have to be made an admin in order to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. The other thing is that you could always reach out to Beachbody and ask them, send customer service an email and just ask them, because they may tell you, oh yeah, it's a bug we're working on. If you go to Google, I always just do Google and then do Beachbody live chat because I hate calling them. So if you can like live chat with them and just be like, hey, my app's not working, and they might tell you they may tell you why. They might say, hey, update this, or, they may know. So I would probably do that just so that way you're not waiting around, and you could ask them and they might have a reason for it.
Live chat's amazing. I live chat constantly.
Girl, same.
They know me. Like,
exactly.
I'm about to have to hop off. Can we take a quick picture?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have to go so soon, but I wanted to come tell y'all we got a house.
That's so exciting. And seriously, it's no worries. Like I said, I'm going to have to hop off early tonight. So,
all right. Smile.
Everybody smile. Hang on. Let's wait for Erin, because we all know she's going to find out about this like 5 minutes late.
Oh,
so everybody give her Erin's internet, just so all you guys know, she lives in Illinois, so in the middle of nowhere on a farm. So her internet's like super slow. Okay, Erin, just hold your smile. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I love it. Yay! Erin's smiling.
We got it. Okay.
Oh.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, Courtney. I'm going to stay on if anybody else has anything else they want to go over. Anybody got anything? Heather, how are things going for you? Sorry to call you out. I just saw your face right here and I was like, we haven't heard from Heather tonight.
Things are going pretty good. Just trying to get a little more confident with inviting people to challenge groups, stepping out in faith a little bit more. But I've started a lot of conversations actually last 2 weeks, about 5 ladies that I've been chatting with and kind of giving a little bit of information about the programs. So I'm hoping eventually to invite them to a group. Sort of know them a little better.
Yeah. Good. Well, I know Erin's taking care of you, and so I'm glad things are going well. Do these calls help, just hearing like the kind of conversations we have with people and that kind of thing?
It does. It gives me some good ideas. It gives me a little more support and, an idea of where to go next.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Good. I'm so glad. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that sometimes in our head we overcomplicate things and we're like, people are going to think we're weird. But I always tell myself, I'm like, just talk to the person like I would talk to a friend. If I was just talking to someone and, because at the end of the day, there are no strings attached, and so if we can just make our focus building relationships and, that kind of thing, then it takes the pressure off and it doesn't make us feel ooey and gooey. It's just let me just build some relationships. And then one of my favorite ways too, I know that y'all are probably all doing this, but Instagram stories has been a game changer for me and my business, because if you think about it, I was telling a coach this other day, they were saying, hey, what do you think about free groups? Or what do you think about sneak peeks? And I was like, those things are great. And I used to do those a lot. I don't do them anymore as much just because time. But I was telling them, the beautiful thing though about it is that even though I'm not running a free group every month like I used to, the beautiful thing is that we all have Instagram stories, and we can basically run a free group or a sneak peek through Instagram stories every day by showing people what it looks like to be a coach, what it looks like to be in a challenge group. And so the more that you can even celebrate other people, Erin was saying that to me the other day. She was like, I love how coaches, even shout out people on their team or their results. The more we can show other people and make it about people and their results and what's happening in their lives, the more it becomes real for people, because they see us and they're like, oh, well, she just has some crazy superpower where she wants to wake up at 5 a.m. And it's like, no. That is not true. Here's all the women that are, in my challenge groups that are making a change in their life, and the results sell the product, not us, So Y'all just keep doing what you're doing. Well, if we do not have any other questions, final call on questions. If anybody has anything, I'll let you guys go early and give you some of your time back. But hopefully this was helpful and you got something out of it. I did record it, so I'll put it on the YouTube and put it in our team page just so everybody has it. And again, I'm sorry I have to kind of cut things off tonight, but sun stayed up too early apparently. I may have to move our call to 8 p.m. now that the summertime is coming. So
this doesn't have anything to do with, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We can go.
No, go ahead.
Just for like anybody really to answer it, just starting out, I guess, what typically, I guess, like how long did it take you to really get in a groove and to start seeing traction and to not get discouraged? Like, I don't always get discouraged, but there's just sometimes that I don't really feel like I'm getting anywhere. And it hasn't been a super long time. And so I know realistically, like I need to give it time too, but also I don't know what's like a realistic time period to give myself.
Anybody want to answer that? Or you want me to answer it? Probably was like, I want to hear from someone else besides Caroline. Well, here,
Caroline.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm way delayed. I feel like I'm just now getting into a really good groove. And I'm like 16 months in, and it's because those people that like first started watching me when I opened my account, they're just now starting to join me because they had to see me do this thing and know that I wasn't going to quit on them, basically. So told me at least a year, and I think that's a good gauge. Like a year is when you kind of know what you need to be doing during your power hours. Like that takes a long time to get really efficient at that stuff, and get your groups kind of running consistently and smoothly. So I would say a year.
So it's normal to not be like really killing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the thing. Somebody told me this one time. Actually, I actually think I heard it on a podcast, and I was like, that is so true. But you have to think too that, like, even though someone might have just signed up as a coach, they could have already been doing all the things that a coach does for the past 3 or 5, 4 to whatever years, depending on what they did before. So a really good example is there's this girl who came in, killed it from day one. But guess what? For the past 5 years, she's been teaching group fitness classes and, working at the YMCA. And she was known amongst her friends as the girl who was into fitness. So for her coming in as a coach, she had basically been already doing all the things a coach does and building her coach business, even though she wasn't a coach and wasn't doing Beachbody. Mm-hmm. Another example is Courtney Foster. Like, she came into this business, but she has, even though she works at a church and college ministry now, first of all, she's lived in like 5 different cities not really 5, but like 4 different cities in the past like 2 or 3 years. She's in ministry, so she's surrounded by tons and tons of people all the time. She is, constantly working with college girls. And so those girls have come on to be newlyweds, like they're moving out of that season. So she's kind of been with them throughout that. And she worked 5 years ago or 4 years ago, she worked at a gym for like 2 or 3 years. So she knew all these people from there. So you have to, like, a lot of times it's really easy to look at people and be like, oh, they're having such quick success. But first of all, most of the time it's their close friends and family. Like, it's typically not going to be people they don't know. For me, my business didn't happen quick. And I don't think Erin's did either. Or obviously she just said it didn't. Because for me, I didn't have friends and family to tap into. Because could I have tapped into them more? Yes. But honestly, I was scared. I'm just being real. Like, I was scared to ask my mom to do a challenge group because I felt like I didn't do anything of fitness before. Like, I was just a girl who liked to go work out at Gold's Gym, and do group fitness classes. So for me, I didn't have any influence in that side of people's lives. And so I had to build that. you know, and I had to build that trust. And I chose to do it a little differently in that I didn't have this super warm market when I started. So in a way, even though it can feel super frustrating, honestly, now I'm so thankful because it forced me to start to grow my network. Whereas what I see happen over and over and over again is people come into this business, they have really quick success the first 3 months, but they kill their warm market and they have nobody left to talk to. And then what happens? They get super discouraged and they're like, I can't do this. And they give up. Instead of sometimes when you come in and you don't have quick success, you have to make up your mind that like, hey, no, a year from now, I'm going to be here. And if you get there in a year and you want to quit, I give you full like quit, but I promise you, you won't want to because you will realize how much the purpose outweighs the perks, you know, and you'll realize like you'll build such great relationships with these people and you'll start to see how it grows and how it compounds. And I don't know, you know, I'm such an example of doing this business in a slow way. I mean, let's be real. I've been a coach for 5 years and I'm just now quitting my full-time job. You know, I'm just now replacing my income. Whereas there's some coaches who do that in 2 years. And I think it's totally doable for anyone to have a full-time income in 2 years. But I also think that it's almost better to like not expect it just in case it doesn't come like that, you know? It's kind of like I posted today, but like work like it depends on you. Like work, like put in the work that you need to. Like this is going to happen and I'm going to, you know, this is going to be my full-time job one day. If you look at it like that, it will make you work a lot harder because the people who, honestly, the people who come into this business and they just kind of have to it, they're probably never going to be a full-time Beachbody coach. But if you come into this business and you're like, I am going to be a full-time Beachbody coach, I need to figure out what I got to do to get there. You're going to put in a lot more work, but you still got to trust God with that timing because at the end of the day, it's all his anyway, you know?
Right.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. And I
just to hear that it's okay helps.
Yeah, it is. And like, you know, like I said, everyone has a different pace in this business, like everyone. So if you can just get 1 or 2 people to start with you, I mean, that's honestly, it's all about helping get people results. Like that is what it's about at the end of the day. And if you can get 1 or 2 people that can just be your mouthpiece and be your first little marketing tool that you use to say, hey, look at what's happening in their lives. And the thing is right now I know too, it's hard. Like you were saying, it's hard when you're pregnant because you're gaining weight. But I promise you, those people are watching you. And on the other side of having this next baby, they're going to be like, that girl worked out through her whole pregnancy. Like, I can get my butt off the couch and go work out, you know? And like
today, when I made that post, I'm like, who is excited about actually gaining weight? Me.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other side of it, you're going to lose the weight and you're going to get back in shape and everybody's going to be watching you and they're going to be watching to see how you do it. And so like, just be faithful now because I know that it's like a frustrating process to start and feel like you don't even have your own results to be sharing, you know, but like you're inspiring people and that's what it's about. And on the other side of this, like it is going to be worth it. And it's honestly the perfect time because if you would have started after the baby came, like A, you would have been more overwhelmed because you got another baby. B, like you would have already been in your process. And yes, it would have been great. But now you're going to have time to get a firm foundation in the business. And that way that when baby comes and you start sharing your results, you've got challenge groups set up and you know what you're doing more is like than if you had started and baby had come at the same time, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, because you know how it is. Kids always make things a little more complicated.
Yes.
So.
Just a little.
Jasmine's like, yeah, right here. See, her baby's not in bed either. So anyways, well, I love you girls and I'm so proud of you. And I want you to hear that today. Like, even if you feel like you're not making a difference or you're not making an impact, you are. And even if it's just one person or 100 people or whatever, like, I think sometimes we forget how, like, we think, oh, like only 30 people liked this post. Well, think about if 30 people were sitting in your living room and you just shared that with them. Like, that is impactful. And I think sometimes we forget that behind all of those numbers and those likes and those comments and those conversations are real people with real lives. And so you are making an impact. You are making an influence in their life. And for a lot of you, you just started. This is just the beginning, you know, and we all start somewhere. People look at me and they're like, oh, 20,000 followers. I'm like, I've been in this business now for 5 years. Like, it's not like that happened overnight. It was, I started at 0 people just like you guys did. I had nobody. And so if I can do it, you guys can do it too. You just have to remain faithful. You have to just keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. And I promise you that like God's going to take care of the results, and it's going to compound. So don't get discouraged. And if you ever need a pep talk, just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram or text or whatever, and I'll send you a little pep talk back. So, all right. Well, I want to pray for you guys really quick, and then I will let you go, I promise. I keep extending this. Heavenly Father, God, thank you so much for these incredible women, God. I just thank you so much for their love for you first and foremost, God. I thank you for just bringing them on this team. I know sometimes we question our calling and we say, is this really where I'm supposed to be? But if they are here, then this is their calling, God. And so I pray that right now we would just be faithful with where we're at, God. We would be faithful with this position that you've given us in women's lives, God. Whether we have 0 challengers or 20 challengers, God, I pray that we would just be faithful with those women. God, help us to be committed to getting them results. God, with our coaches that might be on our team who are under us, God, help us to be committed to getting them results in this business, God. I pray that we would not take our role as an influencer and an encourager lightly, God, but that we would remember that we shine for you. And so, God, I pray that you would just God, multiply their efforts. Lord, we only have a certain amount of time that we can put into a day, but God, you are infinite, God, and you are not bound by days or time. God, you work outside of that. And so, God, we just surrender that. We pray that you would just multiply our efforts, God, multiply our results, God. I pray that you would do more with our 2 hours than we could do with our 2 hours, God. And so I pray that just this week alone, tomorrow, tonight, whenever, God, that you would bring people into these women's lives who want to work with them, who want to be poured into, God. I pray that you would give these women the words to say, the words to encourage them, and the words to just shine in their life, God. I pray that you would just help us to have the eyes to see who those women are, God, that you've already placed there, but maybe we just don't see. God, give us the strength and the courage to make the ask. Give us the strength and the courage to do it well. And Lord, I just pray that you would use us in mighty ways. God, we love you. We praise you. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to just shine bright for you in a dark industry like the fitness industry, God. Lord, we love you. It's your name I pray. Amen. All right, ladies. Well, I love y'all, and I hope that you have an incredible, incredible night. And we'll talk next week on our team call.